I know everybody's happy to see each other, but it's 6:30, so we need to start the meeting. I do, before we get started, I would like to recognize a special guest, our District 7 Democratic Representative, Omar Torres. Where are you, Omar? And I'd just like to give Omar a couple of minutes to share what's going on in the district.
Usually I gather my thoughts of what I'm going to say, but I guess that was really fast. Good afternoon, everybody. Good evening, everybody. How are you guys doing?
Well,
we're Democrats. We could do better than that. Good evening, everybody. How are you? Aren't we all excited because January is rolling around and election is coming? Our elections are coming. Either way, my name is Omar Torres. I'm the Region 7 Director for the 4 counties that Region 7 incorporates, which is Santa Clara, Monterey, San Benito, and Santa Cruz County. And I'm just here to say hello to you guys. As you guys know, Tyler usually gives my report, but not today because my school board was off today. I sit in the Franklin McKinley School Board, and we had a 1 day off today, so I'm here instead. So I like to come to Monterey. I like to come to speak to you guys about what's happening in Region 7. Region 7 is a very, very, very busy. Region 7 is a very busy region for the California Democratic Party, and I just want to make sure that we're all working together. So what's coming up in the next few months? One of them is our Region 7 meeting, which is going to be happening next Saturday at 10:30. Well, the doors open at 10 o'clock. I start promptly at 10:30. We're going to be having our Region 7 meeting, and Delane Easton and Kevin De Leon will be our guests, our visitors, our speakers, whatever you might call them. So we're going to have a packed agenda because we'll also be passing resolutions. I saw there's a couple of resolutions that are being passed out, and we get to vote on our Region 7 again. Region 7, this meeting is open to the public, so if you have a friend or a cousin interested in the Democratic Party, they can come to these meetings. However, only delegates get to vote. So only delegates get to vote on resolutions. However, to hear Kevin, or I should say Senator De Leon, to hear Senator De Leon, or to even hear former Superintendent of Public Instruction, long title, Delane Easton, anybody can come and hear them out. So if you're an undecided Democrat in these very, very long gubernatorial elections that we're going to be having very soon, you can come here, Delane. And if you're undecided in who you want to support for U.S. Senate, as you know, Senator De Leon just jumped in against Senator Dianne Feinstein. So if you want to hear about Kevin De Leon and his plan to move not only our party but our nation to the left, you can come to the meeting as well. So remember, doors open at 10 and the meeting begins at 10:30. Okay, so again, and it's open to everybody. So,
location?
Okay, thank you. San Benito High School. So in San Benito, I usually like to move around our meetings, and I think I'm one of the only region directors because this position has been going on for a very long time, as I can remember. Most of the meetings were always held in Santa Clara County, when, as you guys know, most of the Region 7 is not in Santa Clara County. So I move around Santa Cruz, Monterey, San Benito, Santa Clara, if I want to, but most of the time I don't. But they're usually down south, okay?
I'm sorry, what date is that?
Next Saturday, December 9th. I'm still stuck in September. Sorry about that, guys. Next Saturday, no.
a week from
Next Saturday, December 9th. At 10 a.m. The doors open at 10 a.m. I'll have a continental breakfast. The meeting begins at 10:30. You'll hear from Delane Easton first because she has to run to another meeting, event. They have a packed schedule. And then Kevin will speak around 11 o'clock. And then he has to move on too. And then we'll get we'll do the order of business, which is resolutions, reports from the county chairs, reports from clubs, reports from our labor councils in Region 7. We have Central Labor Council and the South Bay Labor Council in Region 7. So it's a pretty good meeting. Alan usually goes to most of them. And again, like I said, they're open to everybody. You don't have to be a delegate to your central committee. You can be a new member for a club. You can be a reborn Democrat, trying to fight the Trump regime. You can come. Everybody can come. We're open to everybody, okay? So the other one is as you guys know, elections are going to be happening. And the only race that I see, hopefully nobody else retires, is the 80-30 race. So as you guys know, Assemblywoman Ana Caballero is terming out because she had 2 years left in that old clause where they could only serve, I believe, 6 years in the Assembly, 8 years in the Senate. Don't worry about the numbers. And now they can serve 12 years. But she had 2 years left in an Assembly term, and she's running. She ran 2 years ago, as you guys know. She won, and now she's terming out. So she terms out in 2 years. And now I think there's about 5 Democrats running. I don't remember off the top of my head who it is, but I know the 2 major ones that I know off the top of my head, because they've reached out to me about the pre-endorsement, as they call it, is Supervisor Rob Rivas from San Benito and council member from Gilroy, or I think the vice mayor of Gilroy, Peter Leroy Munoz. That's the only 2 that have contacted me about the pre-endorsement, so I don't know if you guys know of any other 80-30.
There's Sheila Coffey-Gomez from Hospital, bro.
Okay.
Isn't Lisa Lejos
I think Luis
running
Alejo.
too?
Yeah, and a couple of
No, Lisa Lejos is running for Senate.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Okay,
And so is Ana, yes.
we've got to wrap this up.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so pre-endorsements. That's going to be happening at the end of January. As you guys know, the convention, because of elections, is held a little bit earlier than last year. Last year was at the end of May. This year is at the middle of February, but the pre-endorsements happen in late January, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about. So I'm sorry if I'm taking so much time. But the only race that I see, again, is 80-30. And folks who are delegates to in the 80-30 in a central committee or the state committee, or if clubs submitted, and there's only 2 clubs in Monterey County that submitted to have delegates in 80-30, and one of them was is Gary here? Gary?
Progressive Dems?
What is the club? It's club.
Progressive Dems?
Democrats
Thank
in
you.
America.
That one and the Salina Democratic Club are the only ones that submitted to participate in the pre-endorsement. Okay?
What is a pre-endorsement? I understand what an endorsement is.
Good question.
But what's a pre-endorsement?
The pre-endorsements are the local caucuses of this area votes to endorse the candidate for whatever seat that they're running for in the area that they're running for. Kind of confusing. To be endorsed by the California Democratic Party. So all the 4,000 delegates that go to the convention, they don't get to vote on an endorsement for wherever you live, right? So if you live in 80-30, you have a choice between the 5 Democrats that are running, but they have to submit to go for the pre-endorsement, which means is the official endorsement of the California Democratic Party. And under our rules, it's 70%. 70% of the 70% is the winning margin. So, for example, I'm just going to say candidate A in 80-30.
Actually, I'm sorry, Omar, but I got to cut this off because we got a speaker. So.
Okay, let's sorry about that. So my contact information is 408. If you guys want to talk about the pre-endorsement, because I love to talk about it. 408-750-6773. That's my cell. And then my email is omartorres2014 at gmail.com. Okay, so you can email me, you can text me, you can call me, because I know you guys have a meeting to do. So thank you again. Questions? I'll stick around for a little bit because I have a long drive back to San Jose. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Did everybody get an agenda and did everyone sign in, please? Okay.
So if you have not signed in, make sure before you leave, you do sign in. At this time, I'd like to go to the agenda and begin with swearing in of new members. Would May Green please stand? And May Green has been nominated by Levon Stone to be her alternate, and so thank you for naming an alternate. And May, if you just raise your right hand when you're ready and repeat after me. I
I,
state your name,
May Green Smith,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United
the
States,
Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of
the
California,
Constitution of the State of California,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to those
that I will
constitutions,
bear true faith and allegiance to those constitutions,
that I will honor and uphold
that I would honor and uphold
the bylaws of the Monterey County Democratic Central Committee,
the bylaws of the Monterey County Democratic Central Committee,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of reservation,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties
that I will well and favor this and discharge the duties
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
Thank you very much and welcome.
I would like to bring up, if you are here as a primary seat holder for your seat or an alternate, one of you may vote tonight. So if I could see a show of hands for those who will be voting tonight, raise your hands. Okay, and nobody sees their alternate with their hand up, right? Like I'm not voting tonight, but my alternate is voting tonight. Everybody? Cool? All right, thank you very much.
Question.
You take it down?
I have my alternate here tonight, and I thought I could send a message. I wasn't sure whether she would be sworn in tonight or we would wait.
1 month.
1 month.
Right.
Elizabeth Gabriel.
Elizabeth, welcome.
Welcome, Elizabeth.
Okay. So at this time, we have a wonderful speaker that has been brought to us by the Democratic. Yeah, come on.
The agenda, review and approval.
Oh, thank you.
Needs correction at the bottom,
Okay.
because Tuesday is not the 22nd in January, Tuesday is the 23rd.
Okay, thank you for that correction. And actually, I would, with the agreement of the body, I would ask to consider an amendment to the agenda. There was something that the E-Board should have had put on and we left off, and I'm trying to look at my notes here. Karen?
Yes.
What was the item that we got put on?
One is we need to officially name who can sign on the
Oh, yeah,
now
that's
again, we
it.
have to do that every so often, now's the time.
Okay,
And
the other we can take care of when we get to close.
Whatever, okay.
So, actually, it's just one thing, it's under action items, which is 10. So we have 2 action items, an SEI resolution and a resolution on public water. I would ask the body to consider adding official names for our banking account. We've been trying to do this for a long time, and it's taken so long that the bank has basically said, well, your minutes are not fresh. So we need to basically have in our minutes that the current chair and treasurer are authorized to do our banking. So we've not been able to do that. So I would ask that we add that to the action items. Is there consensus to add that? Okay. So with that understood, is there a motion to approve the agenda? Okay, Carl and Alicia seconded. Any discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Any abstentions? None. Thank you.
And I don't see our secretary here, so is there anyone who enjoys taking notes, other than the chair, who would like to take note of our actions and who makes motions and so forth until our secretary gets here? Who enjoys doing that? Okay, then I
Cricket's like
will
it.
do it.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we have a wonderful speaker. Thank you, Democratic Club of the Monterey Peninsula, for recommending and bringing to us Eva Major. Is that how you pronounce your last name, Eva?
It's Eve,
Eve.
not Eva.
Oh, okay. Eve
And we're from the south, so we just call it Major.
Major. All right, I like that. Eva Major, and she's going to be...
Eve?
Eve Major is going to be speaking to us on runaway inequality. So please, let's give a welcome to Eve.
Well, I'm really looking forward to this opportunity to speak with all of you. Did everybody get a handout? And if you didn't, I'd like to get you one. It looks like maybe back in the back they need one. Did you get?
There's some here.
Can you get this one though? Pass a couple of these back to him. I think he doesn't have it back there. Anyone over there need one? Because we're going to follow along with the bouncing ball today. Tyler's heard this talk before. Anyone else? All right. Well, I thought it would be nice just to open this talk with a story I heard Keith Ellison, representative from Minnesota, give at the Vermont Democratic Party fundraiser recently. And he told the story of how many, many years ago, our president, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, passed away. And the love that was shown for him, his casket was put on a train, and it was in red and white and blue bunting. And as it went around from town to town, people showed up to pay their respects. And they lined the train tracks on the way in between the towns as well. And the train stopped in a small town in the Midwest, and a reporter noticed a man in overalls crying. And the reporter said, "Did you know the president?" And he said, "No, but he knew me." And that story really touches me, because I think that's why I'm here today. We want to be able, I think as Democrats and as progressives, to be able to feel and know how other people are feeling. And a lot of what I'm going to talk about today is the need to bring together our various movements and issues to come together into a mass movement in order to be able to effectively address the issue of wealth and income inequality. And that this is a unifying cause that I think can bring together, and already is bringing together, labor and environmental groups. We have a book, this talk I'm going to give today is based on the book Runaway Inequality by Les Leopold. And it has been adopted as part of, and they're on sale for $10. All proceeds go to the education campaign. I have extra ones in the back and I can certainly sell them to you. And it has been adopted as part of the educational campaign for the Communication Workers of America, National Nurses United, United Steelworkers. They bought thousands of the book for their membership, and Sierra Club. So these are the major unions that have been, educating their membership in this concept. And I first learned about Les Leopold in an article I read. He writes a lot for the HuffPost and Alternate, and I found it fascinating. So this talk, I'm going to use sort of a question, call and respond approach as we go through the content. And so it's a little interactive, and we're going to keep it moving though, because we just have 20 minutes, and then there'll be some time for Q&A at the end. Okay? So let me get started here.
Wes, where are you?
Is it plugged in?
There we go.
There it
You guys
is.
see that all right? Yeah. And these slides are in your material as well. So if we start out and we ask ourselves, Trump was elected. Why? Why was Trump elected? What do you think? People are angry.
People have a lot of money and want more.
People who have a whole lot of money and want more, and he's their man.
Because we have a system that allows one candidate who receives millions more votes to lose.
Yes, electoral college system, yes.
Some of us didn't feel as though we were really included in a process where we elect people and then they're in office and we can't even get to them to get our needs addressed.
Right, and promises were made. He was gonna be a different kind of Republican.
Because Democrats couldn't get their act together.
Democrats couldn't get their act together.
I think the biggest problem is that most people vote on very shallow reasons. I have a friend who said, he almost voted for Trump. Well, too many people almost vote for one side or the other. They don't really have an awareness of the importance of voting.
You know? And I have to say, I'm guilty. Over the years, I've gotten involved during the election campaign, for 4 years, and I haven't built my knowledge as deeply as I have just this year since Trump has been elected. And I've got woke with this.
As I say, it's also a major failure of our educational system in having taught critical thinking skills and civics in the schools.
The lack of.
And lack of all of them.
Yep, amazing. One more.
I have many friends, including family members, that I try to convince vote for the Democrats, and they say the Democratic Party has no guts, that doesn't do anything.
Have they really represented? Yep.
Yeah, they feel it's worthless.
Yeah. Yeah.
The rise of the religious right.
The rise of the religious right got him elected, huh?
Yeah, they're the ones that are still for me.
Right. Yes.
Also, Fox News owns, is owned by the Republicans, so you see more of the what's it called, Trump and Hillary.
That's right. Yep. So I'm gonna, yes,
Immigration was a big issue also.
immigration.
Mhm.
Too much population of one race.
Yeah, racism.
Racism, pitting one ethnic group
That's
against
the main-
another.
Oh, yeah, that's popular
Yes.
thing to do, especially
So-
in California.
We would like to think that, you know, there's a lot of anger out there, people feeling like their needs weren't being met by either party. We found that people who had voted for Obama in the Midwest, they ended up voting for Trump, many of them. And so we want to talk about how we bring in to our mass movement, not just Democrats, but independents and even some Republicans who may have voted Republican last time, so that we can build a mass movement towards reversing runaway inequality. In fact, the problem goes deeper and is older than Trump. We've lost 917 seats at the state and local and national 11 that have flipped from Dem to Republican since 2008. Vote loss from Obama to Clinton in Michigan. These were some of those voters I was telling you about where they had voted for Obama and then they did not go to Clinton. Republicans control 33 of 50 governorships, and when they control both of the state houses and the governor, it's a tripartite. And we get 36 states that go that way. They can call a constitutional convention and do whatever the heck they please to our Constitution. And we're awfully close to that now. It's a dangerous time. Constitutional convention being called by 36 of the 50 states if they chose to do so. Some additional reasons driving Trump. People feeling that, you know, jobs have been moved offshore, that they're having to work at Walmart, they're laid off, they have to take jobs at half the wages. And I'm going to talk about our wages and the source of some of our wealth and income inequality here in just a minute. And progressives are not well organized. We are separated into issue silos, and so we want to talk about making these issue silos more porous and bringing in students into Indivisible and unions into groups like the Sierra Club. And we're doing some of that with these meetings. And I'm going to share with you how we're doing that through 700 folks like myself that are doing these talks nationwide. So, next big discussion question. If you could guesstimate what you think the pay gap is between a top 100 CEO and the average worker. The average worker is the non-management, 85% of the workforce. If you had to say, 900 to 1, you say,
Sure.
CEO to worker.
Too much.
That's
Too
not
much.
enough.
900 to 1, what else we got? Yes?
Isn't it more like several thousand?
Yeah, at least.
So we're talking top 100 CEO. That's
100,000.
The ratio.
Yep. It's actually closer to, let me show you what people think it is. Back in the 1970, you might see in your material, I think I've got this in your material. Yeah. Okay, yeah, page 3 there. Back in 1970, the ratio of the top 100 CEOs to the average worker was 45 to 1. 1980, it was 127 to 1. 1990, it became 321 to 1. And it was in the 80s that we saw the growth of Wall Street and the deregulation of the financial sector. And then, boom, 2010, it becomes 726 to 1, and in 2014, it's 844 to 1. And that is huge when you think about what people think it should be. What do you think it should be?
2 to 1, 3 to 1, something like that.
Right? Single digits. People think Republican and Democrat, Democrats tend to think it should be about 7 to 1. Republicans, on average, survey think it should be about 12 to 1. Yep. What's the difference? So what do we think it is in other countries? Yes.
Even more important, it seems to me, there should be a way for workers to become managers. The workers should be managers.
Co-ops.
And the CEOs, if they want to run their own, fascist regime, can go do that somewhere else.
Yep. So you see here, if you turn the page in terms of what it is in other countries, we're a real outlier. Yes.
Okay, the situation with workers getting paid, okay, that has been a big problem and still is, no matter who is in office. So why is that? That's why the Democratic Party is compared to the Republican Party. Because people are coming to the conclusion that it doesn't matter which party you're in, these things that are crucial to the livelihood of the people that everybody's supposed to be serving is not really important and never reaches where it's supposed to go.
Your point is that whether it may be a Democratic or Republican controlled government, these issues you see, there's issues. We got issues. So we're going to talk about that. Take a look. Why have wages and productivity stopped rising together? Take a look at this chart. It's hard to see. You'll see 2 lines, a red line going up, which is productivity, and a blue line, which is wages. Les Leopold was going to school at Princeton back in the 70s, and the iron law that he learned in economics was that productivity and wages always rise together. They taught that. That's what they taught. Just about when he graduated, the line started splitting, and productivity kept going up, but wages flatlined. And in fact, you see they have actually lost ground since the 70s. And that was when the deregulation of the financial industry started.
Even though we had Democratic presidents and Congress dominated most of those years with the red lines going.
That's right.
Thank you.
Started with Carter and
You
then
should have gone to the
Reagan
University of
and then
Chicago.
Clinton.
Would've-
Yes?
should have gone to the University of Chicago.
That's my.
They
Milton
would've-
Friedman.
They would have told him what was
So
going to
Milton
happen.
Friedman was a great influence. There was a virtual intellectual takeover of both parties at this time. The government's bad. And we need to give a lot of tax breaks to corporations so they can trickle down and create jobs. Margaret's going to take care of
A sizable portion of that also has to do with automation too.
it. Okay, here we go. Check it out. So Les started looking at why was this happening? And the International Labor Organization of the UN, which looks at labor issues, did a study of 71 countries. And they were looking at what is the cause of wages flatlining in these countries. 15 minutes. Huh? 15 minutes. I've been 15 already?
Yes.
Okay. Primary causes of wage stagnation were technology, globalization, cuts in government programs and unions, deregulation of unions. But the biggest factor, according to this study of that split, why the wages flatlined, was something called financialization. And that is the
Imaginary money.
percent of the economy that the financial sector represents. Wall Street and the banks. Financialization. In fact, I've got it on your definition. It's defined as the growing scale and profitability of the financial sector at the expense of the rest of the economy and the shrinking regulation of its rules and returns. So with the deregulation of the trucking industry and the airline industry and the auto, all these industries, the financial industry was also deregulated. But nobody foresaw the devastating impacts of the deregulation of the financial sector.
So, we were making things and selling things, and now we are moving into a service-based economy. And in financials, profitability is not measured by units per hour or by number of, widgets produced, but how you can take derivatives and other financial and turn that into capital. And so it doesn't really involve any labor, it doesn't involve, but if you're measuring that as productivity, I think you're not really recognizing the fact that productivity is also kind of real labor productivity is flatlined too.
It doesn't produce any, it really isn't
Right.
productivity.
Yes.
So the financial
Just on
sector
paper.
represents, I think, about 40% of the profits of the economy, but they only represent 5% of the workforce,
Yes.
to your point. And yes,
Yes, can I just say something? Also, people are working for 2 or 3 persons, and a lot of jobs.
yes.
There's a lot of machinery taking over labor from people. There's a lot of robots taken away. So meanwhile, the companies are making a lot of money and labor is being abused,
That's right.
by all these 3 things. Less people, robots, and machinery.
That's right. And so we had technology was one of the factors to this flatlining. It was at 10%, but 45% was seen to be due to financialization.
You don't need 2 minutes of Q&A because you're including the Q&A.
Right?
Please, fill your
Yep.
space.
Good. I love it. So then, okay, we've got the wages flatlining, and then Les notices, what the heck? Financialization? What's going on with the financial sector? So then he sees that a very similar chart to the wages and flatlining of the wages. There you have non-financial incomes, the purple line, and the financial sector incomes just at about the same time starting to skyrocket. And what was going on? What happened in the early 80s? What were some of the things that happened? Ronald Reagan, and what did he do with respect to unions? Air
Destroy
traffic
the,
controllers, anybody?
Aviation, yeah.
11,000 of them. He started saying, that's okay, you guys fired.
Mm-hmm.
And open the door for anyone to do that, right? You folks who remember, tell me.
You're right.
Right?
You're right.
Okay. And so what actually I want to share with you is what happened is in the early 70s, there was something called the Powell Memo. Anyone know what that is? Love it. Check it out, and I'll send you an article afterwards. Powell later became a Supreme Court justice, was named so by Nixon. Powell was in the Chamber of Commerce, and he was asked to write a memo on what are we gonna do about these Ralph Naders and the Vietnam War, and they're coming after corporations, and they're coming after wages, and they're gonna try and regulate our industries. We have to really make a case, and so Powell wrote the Powell memo. And he wrote it for the Chamber of Commerce and said, hey people, whether you make soap or steel, we gotta unite nationally against this movement, against free enterprise. We need to fund, with our money all put together, think tanks and academic chairs and media. And hey, Chamber of Commerce, we gotta move our headquarters from New York to Washington, DC, which they did. And we have to start funding politicians, on both parties. The Dems had typically only taken funding from the union prior to that, but now you have business starting to get to the Democratic Party with this move. And so you have the Chamber of Commerce, now the Business Roundtable, right? Funding both parties. And thus both parties becoming more beholden to corporate interests and Wall Street. So the Powell memo brought in what Les calls a better business climate, neoliberalism it's also called. Friedman was a big advocate of this, but this is the virtual intellectual takeover of both parties. Taxes bad, lower them. You have this in your material. Regulations bad. And the main area of regulation they wanted to get rid of, unions.
Lower them on the rich, not the poor. Regulations on the poor, not the rich.
There you go, like MLK says on my cover, rugged free market capitalism.
Could I ask you a question if you're going to bring into this? Where does half our economy go right now?
Half of our economy go right now?
Yeah, where does it go?
To military-industrial complex.
Are you going to talk about why do we spend half of our money on the military?
That's part of our
How are we going to get out of
We
these
need to
endless, ridiculous
demilitarize the
wars?
economy. Yeah, that's part of our petition, which is something I'll
You
share.
brought up
with you.
Vietnam, that was something that became really
And
clear
both
in
parties voted
Vietnam.
for a $70 billion,
Right.
don't even start. Okay, government social spending, bad. We need to get people to be incentivized to work. Take away all those government programs, and then people will be willing to work for less wages. And privatization, good. We do all this and privatize a lot of these, government sectors. We will have profits and investments, and all votes will rise. Okay. And that was accepted in both parties. It was a virtual intellectual takeover. So what do? Takeaway number one, runaway inequality is not going to cure itself. This was a big aha for me. I thought, economics kind of went in cycles and things got better, right? But this is not going to get any better. The pendulum is not automatically going to swing away from these kinds of deregulations of the financial sector. It's not going to go away on its own, and it's going to take a massive popular movement to counter runaway inequality. So how are we doing that? Well, you've got all these different groups. You've got national nurses, CWA, Climate March, Black Lives Matter, Fight for 15. We are looking to bring all, and if I can leave you with one message, it's invite in as many sister and brother organizations as you can to make our cause stronger and strengthen numbers. The populists did it in the 1880s. They feel this last time an effective fight against Wall Street, other than Occupy Wall Street, was done. They fielded 6,000 educators to go out and talk to the farms in the South and in the Midwest about how Wall Street was ripping them off. And it laid the groundwork for a lot of FDR's policies later on. And what we need to do is field a common, we want to field 30,000 educators. We've got 700 so far since January. We need a common agenda and a common analysis and educational infrastructure. We have a petition that is in your materials, and I also have extra copies of the petition. Would love to, if you're interested, have you take a look at that. Also, pardon? Oh, it's page 3. Our petition, in fact, if I can draw your attention to the last 4 actions, it covers so many issues that we care about. It covers money and politics, Medicare for all, environmental sustainability, jobs at a living wage, free public education from preschool to college, impartial criminal justice, pathway to citizenship, workers' rights, and demilitarize the economy. And public banks. So how we're going to do this, just let me finish this one point, are the 4 strategies. Public banks, taxing Wall Street, end stock manipulation. I haven't even begun to tell you about stock buybacks, which are a huge contributor to our problems. And a wealth tax of 1% on those with over 10 million, as they do in Europe. And that's our petition, and we've got almost 1,000 signing up.
Environmental justice should be included in that, and you're talking about racism, but how are we challenging or working with it? What are the solutions that we're trying to bring to the table?
Discrimination in the housing industry in particular has been institutionalized for years and continues. We talk about that in our workshop. I do a one-day workshop and a half-day workshop. I've got a half-day workshop coming up in January. And we have a whole segment on environmental justice as well. We're particularly concerned with how to just transition for fossil fuel workers so that we can bring a coalition of labor and Sierra Club, which they're already working together, to work on a training and wage support for the workers affected as they move out of the fossil fuel industry.
Okay, I understand all that. But environmental justice, I'm the director of the Corridor Environmental Justice Network, and we've been the watchdog group for this whole county. And what I'm talking about is the language has to be in what we're doing, and the conversations have to go forward in order that we can have some results and some implementation of the things that we're talking about.
I'm with you, Measure Z, all the different things. So I'm at the end of my talk.
Ted, let's let her wrap it up, because she's got five more minutes.
Oh, I've got 5, then we take some Q&A, because this usually brings up some Q&A. Elena?
Well, I mean, I think this petition is a wonderful dream, but right now, there's a real thing that's happening, and that's the tax bill that is doing the exact opposite of what needs to be done. All that, the 1% tax is going away. There's, they're reducing the corporate tax to 20% from 35%. Why not reduce it to 30%? I mean, why this dramatic thing? So if people want a phone or whatever you do, especially if you have a senator who's a Republican, maybe in your family, and get folks to call, because we stopped them from destroying Obamacare with phone calls from people in Invisible and other organizations. And that's a starting point. This is humongous, and it would be wonderful, but there's something really concrete we could all do this month. Otherwise, we're gonna be further behind.
Yeah.
Even further.
I have an article on the tax bill on the table back there and how it's impacting those people who make $45,000 and less are having to pay an increase in taxes over the 10 years, while those making above 50K and are saving money and getting tax breaks. So I'm with you. Just to close on the petition and then more Q&A. What we're doing is, with these petitions, as we get more and more signed, we want to work with Indivisible to present them to the members of Congress and say, will you support this? So that's where we're headed with the petition. And we are mainly working on our educational infrastructure. We have about 7, I think in your materials you'll see the back page, I have a trainer's map. We've got 700 trainers signed up nationwide like myself. Doing workshops and doing presentations with Indivisible, AARP, Democratic Socialists, Democratic Party, Indivisible. So we are out and about nationwide.
Is your workshop in January local?
Yes,
Please make sure we have that so we can add it to our calendar of Allies events.
Okay, I've got it on this handout here that some of you may have at your tables. All the presentations I've given so far and some of the upcoming ones. We're doing one, I'm really excited, in Oakland with CWA, United Steelworkers, and Sierra Club, and the Blue Green Alliance, Enviro Econ Focus. So, yes, And that's the close of my talk.
Because you brought up Black Lives Matter and Occupy Wall Street, is there anyone working on getting the police on our side rather than always I mean, right now there are people on trial in Washington DC because they were in a demonstration in Washington DC. They are facing something like 9 years in prison and these are people
So
that.
wrapping up hers on the,
Okay,
on the roadway equality, that is a life's work right there in that question. Let's give thanks to our speaker. We should thank you so much. I'll sure we have this electronically. We'll put it on our website on a calendar. If someone can be so kind to hit the lights, please.
Okay, so moving on to.
No,
All lights on.
All of them, all of
All
them,
lights on, please.
all the same way,
Moving
please.
on to public comment.
One more.
That's it.
That's good enough. Let's just move ahead.
It takes a minute.
Go ahead.
The books are on sale for $10, and afterwards, if you're interested, let me know.
Okay, thank you very much and for that thoughtful and thought-provoking discussion. Okay, so this is the opportunity for folks who have something they'd like to share with the Central Committee that is not on the agenda, and you have 1 minute. Carl.
I don't need a minute. I want to recommend this book that I've been reading, which is in sync with exactly what we said here. Written by three very prominent and well-respected, non-partisan political journalists, E.J. Dionne, Norman Ornstein, and Thomas Mann. And the title is One Nation After Trump. A guide for the perplexed, the disillusioned, the desperate, and the not yet to order. And what it does is it goes through exactly what she was talking about in the political realm. The evolution of our absolutely destructive Republican Party, where the Democrats share it too, in terms of not functioning effectively in the Congress. Talks about all the nuts and bolts for Hillary's defeat, and it's not as a Hillary advocate, but as an objective analysis, blames it on Russians and the FBI pretty well, but then it goes through a complete analysis of what's wrong with our society, how can we do it, one nation after Trump. That's the title, and the idea is, you know, we blew it, we can move on from it, we can build a better society. Anyway, I would strongly recommend it to you. I'm about a third of the way through it.
Thank you, Carl. Levon.
Yeah. I would just be happy when we really start to listen to each other, especially to the people that we're supposed to be representing. When we really start listening to them and really start acting on what the concerns are, then we can take it from the bottom to the top. And we can't take it from the top to the bottom. That's not going to work. It has never worked until we come together ourselves and stop just pushing numbers is what we're doing here. And we're just doing, especially in the state of California, we push numbers. Get the people to vote. What the heck is that going to do for us? For everybody, for the economy, for those that don't get the same voice, the same treatment. We have to start looking way beyond what we're saying.
Thank you. Regina.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Regina Gay. I just thought that I should confirm, in case there have been rumors that you've heard, that I have filed my intent to run for Board of Supervisors District 2, 2018. I just want to say to those of you who have already reached out to help me, to donate, to endorse me, thank you very much. To all the others, don't try to block our calls in the next couple of months. So again, happy holidays and thank you. I'm still standing. I'm very excited, still standing as of November. So thank you.
So this is not for me. This is from the Newsom campaign on December 9th, which is the same day as Omar's event. At 11:30 to 1 in the Santa Cruz Police Community Room. The Santa Cruz, our sister party over in Santa Cruz County. The Santa Cruz County Democratic Party is having a meet and greet and give a pitch. That's December 9th, 11:30 to 1 PM, so it'll be done longer than just a half hour.
With the governor.
With the Lieutenant Governor, Gavin Newsom. So if you need more information, you need to email me, and I can forward your email to Daniel@gavinnewsom.com. So that's, they're just asking for people to come and join them at Santa Cruz.
James in the back.
I'm working on the roster, and some of you I don't have addresses for. So before you leave, check with me, make sure that I have your current address and phone number. Particularly District 4, there are a lot of you I don't have addresses for in District 4.
That's really important because we have to turn in that information to the state party. They use that to contact you regarding things like convention and things like that. So last time we didn't have accurate information. I had to try to figure it out. It wasn't all right. But you can help out by making sure that you fill out the roster with that complete information.
Yeah, don't leave without talking to me, even if just to confirm that I have the right address. Thank you.
Chris.
Yeah, I just wanted to alert people that Tony Thurman, who's running for superintendent of public schools for the state of California, is going to be here on December 16th. Susie Franklin is having an event, and if any of you would like to go, I'll get the information to you. It's very interesting and potentially, for the state of California, in its history, there's only been one woman and one black, Wilson Riles. And Tony is Panamanian, he's Latino, he's gay, he is Jewish. He covers every ethnicity you can imagine, but more than that, and he is just enormously well qualified. He's currently superintendent of schools in Bridgeport.
Chris, when is that again?
December 16th.
December 16th.
Yeah, and
People
he's
should
raising
contact
funds.
you.
Yeah, if you contact me, I'll get the invitation over to them.
Elena?
Recommendation for the folks that are announcing events that are of interest, that Erin's not here, I don't think, tonight, but if you send it to Erin Fogg, she'll put it on the webpage and on the Facebook page. And then that way, because I'm gonna forget this, and, people are writing it down, but that's one way to publicize that. Thank you. Erin's out of town, she sends her regrets.
And if you send a message before a meeting to Karen and I, if it's before we send out the agenda, we will try to have it in the agenda so that people have it in their hands. Yeah.
Is this the time for me to
find no, we're going to do that in our clubs, unless you're going to be leaving. Okay. Any other non-agenda items? Yeah.
I have an update on, Ron Cheshire, I have an update in regards to the campaign contribution limit issue before the County Board of Supervisors. Unfortunately, even though we have 4 Democrats as supervisors, they have chosen to basically not hear it at this time. They put an ad hoc committee together. I'm sure that they'll wait until after the first of the year. Then filing will come along, and it won't be time to basically set any limits or so. And it'll just get kicked down the road.
What's the issue?
The issue is campaign contribution limits. In Monterey County, only Pacific Grove has it. Every other public entity in this area, I can write you $1 million check to run for dog catcher if it was an elected office. And the lady here just talked about one of the things that have basically destroyed our society is the fact that you can donate huge amounts of money to candidates to get them to run for office, so they will push your agenda. So anyway, maybe we'll get smart in Monterey County someday, but I just thought I'd give you a little update. Maybe it's time to put a petition together and get about 38,000 signatures on it, which is about twice as many as the Monterey Downs have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. May?
Yes. Concerning the presentation that Eve made, I believe that there can be a large project put on the table to turn the state of mind, turn consumers' mentality into distributors. And because we've been programmed to be consumers, not distributors.
Thank you. All right, any other comments? None? Yeah, Vince.
One more event and then we'll go up on the website, but it's happening very soon, so I wanted to mention it.
On Thursday, there's a fundraiser for Rachel Reddick. She's running for the House in Pennsylvania, but she has local connections, so the event is happening here. And of course, we all know that perhaps even more important than impeaching the president is to actually take back the House and the Senate. And there's a real chance. Virginia has shown us that we actually can take back seats that have been considered remote opportunities that can be taken back. So this is an opportunity. Rachel Reddick is a Navy veteran running in Pennsylvania's 8th. That's a little north of Philadelphia. Even if you don't have family there, your support coming from here is as good as any other support. We will be doing the same for other districts in the valley and so forth. So every House seat that we pick up is one toward that majority that we absolutely have to stop what's going on. So.
Okay, any other non-agenda items, comments? Yes.
Well, one more event, there's a fundraiser, speaking of somebody from out of state, for Vangelis on Saturday, this Saturday, December 2nd, from 4 to 6. I have an email with the information, I don't have it right in front of me.
I have it up.
Oh, okay.
I'll print it out right here.
Oh, perfect, okay, so. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so seeing no other hands going up, I'm going to move on to the minutes from the October meeting were in your packet. Is there a motion to approve or any requested changes? Motion to approve then? Would entertain a motion to approve from anyone? All right, I think from Scott, seconded by Natalie. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No opposition? Any abstention? No abstention. All right, thank you. Financial reports, unfortunately, I guess they are in the packet.
Yeah, they're in the packet, and for some reason it was, Jen couldn't be here tonight, Holly also is gone, the assistant treasurer. Is there anyone else from the financial subcommittee here who would like to speak? Then I'll add that it was important to Jen that what's noted at the bottom that says it's incomplete. By that she means the amounts for the dinner. We are still reconciling some bills for the dinner. The Hyatt just doesn't want us to pay. They are not sending us a final bill, so we owe them a couple thousand. No. And so that's what she means by being incomplete. This is an accurate representation of all funds in and out of the organization. We haven't wrapped up the dinner. So we're doing really well. And kudos to our financial officer and the team. This is a non-election year, and look at that balance, baby.
Right, so I would just note that our budget for revenue for the year was $26,400. We've raised a little over $52,000, so we've exceeded almost double what we had set as a goal. So I personally would thank all of you, because I know many of you in different ways, whether it's donating here, donating online, helping with the gala, helping with other fundraisers. It's been a real team effort, and I think we're making good progress. Now we've got to figure out institutionalized ways to kind of make this a regular thing and even ramp it up more. But at least for me, this looks like a real positive report. Are there any other comments on the, Anthony?
So I see that you guys expected to raise 26,000, you guys are raising 52,000.
Yeah.
So that's good, we have, in excess, right? But what that kind of tells me is we're usually thinking that we're gonna raise about 26,000. So is there any effort to put some money into like a reserve, just in case you don't raise 50,000?
Great idea. So the comment is, should we think about putting some into a reserve? And I think that's a great idea. We really, between now and our January meeting, we need to start thinking about how we want to budget for next year. I know I had made a commitment to people that we would have a center in Salinas open during the election, and I really would like to see us do that. I'm not sure how much that's going to cost. Actually, one thing I would like to ask is if there are folks who would be interested in being on an ad hoc committee to look for a location for that during the election season. Then we can better Patty I see and Wes I see. I don't know if there's anybody
So
else.
let's get that in the
Behind you.
minutes. Ryan,
Okay. and
Ryan, Patty, Wes, if the minutes could show those folks.
It's sort of a subcommittee, so check out, like, you know, is there a possible union friend that would be willing to rent to us for cheap? Or other kind of commercial space, and we're probably looking at needing it from, you know, July or August through November, okay?
Larger than this space, or we can talk about
You
it?
guys just look at different options and then let us know what the options are. And
So the names were
costs.
Brian and Patty.
Ryan, Patty, and Wes.
Ryan Manivar.
Ryan, Patty, and Wes. And also, you'll have a draft budget that the financial team will be presenting to you in January. And in that, it'll have some soft numbers, at least as a starting point for guidance. And I've seen the rough draft version. It does not have a reserve. So thank you, Anthony, for the forward thinking on that. We were thinking that a lot of fundraising for elections was done very close to around the time the mailer is done and everything, and we wanted to get ahead of that so that we could either get further ahead or concentrate on other things, because the former leadership gave so much of their time. You don't know how hard they worked to put together that money to make sure that mailer made its way out, so we're trying to get ahead of that, but that's wonderful.
Maria?
Yeah, I was gonna ask if you're looking for a place to keep like computers, posters, or just looking for a place to have meetings?
A place for people to be able to do phone banking, to be able to put together mailers and door hangers, have meetings, that kind of thing.
Do you want to join the subcommittee?
Would you like to join the
Yes,
subcommittee?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Maria as well, please, James.
I'm sorry, Tyler's next, and then Elena. Tyler?
So the Monterey Peninsula Pride Group actually donated, or not donated, but is giving the Central Committee $500 for the use of the Center for Change for what we were planning. So I'm not, I just wanted to.
We really appreciate that. We're glad to be able to make our space available for groups, and we're appreciative when they're able to help us.
And that was number one. You told us that you wanted, it was important for the Center for Change to stay open, and rent is clearly paid for a long while. But now we have to reshuffle those priorities and get more money coming in. So thank you for those who contributed, Democratic Women and others, Monterey Peninsula, everyone who gave that money long ago.
And then, so folks, if you look at the projected budget, please start thinking, you know, is there something else that you think we could be spending money on next year to help elect local Democrats? And are there, you know, do we have kind of the numbers right? So we'll be ready for a real good discussion about that.
So, I haven't been on the Central Committee for a long time, so I really hope that I'm not offending anyone who are seeing this. But, so, really what I've seen, just kind of on the outside, to have an endorsement by the Democratic Central Committee sometimes doesn't carry too much weight, because all it does is just send the mailers. So maybe instead of, you know, having a location, which we're going to be spending money on, maybe we should focus some resources into, you know, actually giving money to candidates when they're running for office, whether it be $500 or, you know, not that much. That's something I think would go a long ways for someone who's like running a race in Greenfield, to where their name comes out like in the fine print all the way at the bottom, and it's like, okay. But you know, a lot would help if you give $500 because they can buy their signs. So I think maybe that's something we should look at, donating to people running. I'm not saying fund their campaign, but any contribution helps. I think that'd be more productive.
So if you want to go in depth on that,
Just a fun.
well, if you'd like to go in depth, because you are giving some fresh ideas about money, the financial team could use you. Subcommittees are where a lot of the deep conversations take place, and then recommendations come forward. So it also goes, there's cross-pollination. Your idea, your comment will make it back to them. But if you'd like to engage in that conversation, I encourage you to go to a financial committee, subcommittee meeting, or campaign committee, and talk about that. Talk about what our role is in campaigns.
And James, if make sure we get that in the notes. So I think that's actually a really big topic. You know, where do we have the best, or the most impact? You know, do we have the most impact through our mailers, which historically have actually been partially funded by candidates, or would we have more impact sort of giving money directly to campaigns? And I think we're probably gonna have to dedicate some time at our next meeting to have a vigorous discussion about this. I have my own opinions, but I'm gonna hold them for now. And I'd like to hear more about, I think we all need to think about this. Okay, any other thoughts about the budget or the, this expense report? Okay, I don't know if we have to vote on that. Do I have anything? Okay, then let's go on to the dinner, update on the dinner, and I don't see David here. I think he is out of town.
David, no, he sent an email saying he would be here at 7, he said he was late. We'll pass it, maybe.
Okay. So let's hold this off until David gets here and go on to the retreat on race and bias. And we have an announcement, page 8. And Elena, did you want to say anything about that or just call people's attention to this?
I would like to call people's attention to it. Tyler, Kayla, and I met and talked about what kind of a retreat/workshop would make sense, and we came up with kind of a tentative agenda. We are not the leaders of it, we're just the folks who kind of are requesting that it happen. And I also belong to the organization, the National Coalition Building Institute, and that's what we do. We do workshops on oppression and prejudice and discrimination and race and bias and in all venues from middle school to colleges and so on. And so I spoke with 3 key leaders of the local organization, and they agreed to conduct the workshop for us. Because of the space that it makes the most sense to hold it, we do need to limit it to the first 25 people who sign up. And it will be January 7th from 1 to 5, although that time frame, it won't get any longer, but it could get a little shorter depending on, how the format of the workshop works out. And so we really would like to encourage you. This is a great opportunity. They're going to be doing this at no cost to us. And so it will be held at the Counseling Center on the CSUMB campus, which can hold comfortably about 25 people, so that's where that number came from. Doesn't mean this is your only opportunity if that date, absolutely doesn't work for you, or you go to sign up and 25 people beat you to it. We will look at doing a follow-up workshop or another one. Maybe it wouldn't be exactly the same topics, so I don't know if folks have questions for us. I think this is an important issue based on what's been going on in our country and so on, so it's appropriate.
Levon,
I have a question.
race and racial bias. Okay. Levon, Carl, and David.
Who are the groups that are involved in putting this workshop on, and who else did they talk to?
Well, Tyler, Kayla, and I met, and the group is a group that's been in Monterey County for many, many years. Laverne Baker-Leyva is one of the leaders.
What's the name of it?
It's called the National Coalition Building Institute. You might have heard it, a lot of times people say NCBI.
Yeah, I've heard it, but why aren't there other community organizations involved, or nonprofits or whatever?
Well, this is the workshop just for our organization, so I think if we had too many people, we were going to involve the Families of Color, but unfortunately their leader is not well right now, and so that it's just too hard for him to plan.
So the goal of this is really to work within this organization to improve our racial awareness and understanding. It doesn't mean we can't do something that would be external. And if there are folks who would like to work on a club, for example, that would like to work on an event like that, definitely would be open to supporting that as well. And we're also planning to have more workshops in the future. This isn't going to be a one-time deal.
My problem is that there are organizations that always have these kind of things, and they have good intentions, but some kind of way in the groups or whatever, it tends to get lost and don't really go out to where, there's a lot more involvement and
baby steps. Yeah.
baby.
Uh,
These ain't no baby
Well,
steps.
if I
I've
could
been
just-
listening to you a long time.
I just wanted to respond that this is not, we're not gonna all be, cured or changed
Yeah, I know that.
miraculously.
I know that.
So I understand what you're saying, but you gotta start somewhere, so this is kind of a starting
Yeah,
place, I hope.
everybody is doing it all across the county, it's just that it's not together, so that's okay. I just brought it up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Then Carl's next. and
Yeah, I
David,
just
and
wondered
Chris.
if it might be a good idea for us to have a workshop sometime in the future to allow, especially women and others who have been subject to sexual discrimination, to be able to express themselves. Because the real problem heretofore has been, it's happened, we've known it for many generations, and we've had to shut up and move on.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something that,
The E-board talked about,
we should.
and
And Cassie brought something forward, so it's in the works with the Issues Committee.
Thank you, Brooke.
I want to say something about
It's
that.
David,
had
David,
said
then Chris,
So.
and then Maria.
Was there any thought about recording it, or at least recording parts of it?
Well, we could certainly consider that. If people, my only reluctance on things like that is people might not be as honest, they might not be as open.
And then the second point was, the Marina Democratic Club hosted an issue on race and income inequality last summer, and we presented the movie White Like Me. And we had an attendance of, I think there were 35 people there from the city. So the timing is a little short, but there may be a 5 or 10 minute presentation that our club, if you're interested,
Oh, and incorporating?
I haven't talked to the presenters yet, but I'm gonna volunteer them for it. Let me talk to them, but
Okay.
within this 4-hour window,
Yeah.
would something like that be possible?
I think we could probably make that work, yeah.
So-
Maybe we can talk.
yeah, I would just encourage you to talk with Elena and the presenters, and if it works for them,
And
then let's.
Kayla and Tyler.
Yeah, the committee, thank you, the committee and the presenters. Chris?
Yeah, I was just going to suggest a resource to you if you haven't come on it, but CSUMB has a retired, she's emeritus, but Christine Slater, who is internationally known and has worked not only here, but in places all around the country. She's president of the National Association for Multicultural Education, and that's her specialty. And she does marvelous workshops, and she's a Democrat. I see her down here doing the phone, so I would recommend that you try to get her as a resource, because she's really excellent.
And two of the folks are affiliated with CSUMB, so they may very well know her. I'll mention it.
I think it was Maria.
Yes, I just wanted to mention that I don't know how important this meeting is about racism or bias racism, because the ones who should really go probably won't go. And, they're the ones who should be there, and they probably won't be honest enough to know they need it. And people feel that they don't need it, and I think we're all mature enough, we're over the age of 50, and we should be behaving like adults and know better. We have worked in public areas, and as a nurse, as a teachers, and these workshops have been there with us. They have taught us all this. So we have not learned anything from the past work or where we worked before. Then we're never gonna learn. And I'll tell you one thing. Just sitting here, I can tell the people who actually say hi to me, and the people who don't say hi. You can just see it. Because if you want to be friendly with everybody, you can start by saying hi when you come in and say hi, how are you? Some people just pass you, and they need to know that it's nothing that you're never going to notice. I notice when people talk to me when they don't. So if you do that, then you're the one who has to be going to that workshop.
Thank you, Maria.
So about going to the workshop, so I heard that there are 25 spots. So is your decision to just send it out to everyone in the first 25 who respond? Or can we raise our hands right now and say we're interested and have the invitation go out to us because we're committed? What is your plan?
I think the committee has a plan, don't they?
What is your,
It's different from
I'm
this.
asking, what's your plan?
I was gonna just get, that's why I asked for the email, is I was gonna tonight or tomorrow morning send it's on Eventbrite, and you have to receive an email, because I didn't want it to be public. And so that was my intention. If people want to sign up tonight, I suppose you can, and then I'll send you the invite first.
I want to go.
Pardon me?
I want to be in the room.
Yeah, I already signed up myself, so.
I need it.
Can't do that.
I need this training. I think I don't, but I need it.
Vince,
It's just a question, is the space the limiting factor, or do they want to keep it at that
Space.
size?
It's both, actually, to
Okay.
be honest with you. The presenters, I understand what Maria's saying, but the presenters really, they have experience. They've done this all over the country themselves as well. And that their experience is if you mandate something and say, you must, I wasn't pointing at you, you must go. That people are gonna go like this, and they're not gonna participate anyway. So this way, it's welcome, we want you to attend. And so there's a combination of what works well for this kind of workshop. It's very intimate, to have fewer people, it's, I think goes better. And I've done these workshops myself, so I know that for a fact as well. So we could have opened it up to a bigger group. These particular leaders would not have agreed to do it.
so my preference would be to send out the Eventbrite invitation to everybody
At the same
tonight,
time.
and then
Okay.
people can do it, rather than try to,
Right.
some say yes, it doesn't get in, it gets confusing, and then people who aren't here will have a chance to jump in, and hopefully we'll have lots of people wanting to participate. Hold on.
I just have one more comment. We've been participating in these kind of workshops, there's a couple other people in this room too, with the health department and different little groups of people, and we go and we leave and come back and we do it again, and when we say, why do we have to deal with color anyway, and she's with the health department? I'm like, and she said, why can't we all just be one? Because we're not all one, we're all different cultures and things, and they all have to be realized. And so my thing is, where does it go once the group does what it's doing and come back to the table? Where do we see the changes? Or where do we see the...
That's a good question, and I don't have the answer. I think Maria in a way said part of it. I mean, part of it just has to do with how we interact with each other.
That's true.
And I don't know, we'll take it from there.
And maybe inviting different groups
Well,
to your meetings.
we'll have to show them something, because we do invite different groups, but we can see about most of the meetings that we attend, not only the central committee, but any meeting that has that agency or people or boards, and they make the decision, is always the same thing. So something has to change. It's not the people's fault that's in the room, but somebody has to do something to make some changes. We can't keep doing this forever.
Well, if you have other ideas,
Yeah, I do.
I would love to, let's talk, and let's see if we can do something. We certainly are committed to trying to improve. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to tell you, there's a overflow of demand for this kind of thing, that one of my colleagues at the Monterey Institute also does workshops on this kind of thing a couple of times a year. So,
I've been to those
get
too.
the dates and so forth, and
They decided on NCPI.
Okay, any other comments on this? If not, I'm going to suggest we go on to the next item. Let's see, which is action items. First, we have a resolution that I received, or actually maybe I'll just turn it over to our issues committee first to introduce these.
So, yes, Alan sent this out to the issues committee, and the issues committee, this is concerning the fair pricing for Dialysis Act, the first thing listed. And this is coming from the Service Employees International Union. I guess I'll turn it over to Terry to present.
Did everybody get a copy of the resolution?
It's in our packet.
So I'll pass this around and make sure that it's two pieces
one is the resolution, the other one is a front and back of the problem and the solution for dialysis. I'll be really quick. Do all of you know what dialysis is? It's a very strenuous process. A lot of folks, when their kidneys start to fail, they need to help to have their blood last and get back to their body, back to their cells. Sorry. So one of the problems that we have is that there are two major companies called DaVita and Fresenius that have the monopoly over the for-profit dialysis clinics. In 2016, they made $3.9 billion in profit alone in the United States. $3.9 billion. 2015, it was $2.9 billion. In the state of California, it's over $450 million in profit they made. So what they're doing is they're overcharging the cost of what Medi-Cal pays by 3 to 4 times. And oftentimes, because they're a for-profit, they can turn away people that are on Medi-Cal because they're only going to get what the reimbursement is. So this is a really large problem. So what we're doing is we are putting this on the ballot. We need to get over 580,000 ballot signatures to get it on the November ballot. And what this will do is prevent for-profit dialysis clinics to charge over 115% of actual cost. Now, what that does is it's actual cost of patient care. So if they hire more people, then that offsets that. So what they're trying to say is, well, we're not going to make enough profit to employ others, but no, what it is 115% maximum. But anything that goes back into direct patient care, into paying for wages of the technicians, nurses, and so forth, would offset that 115% profit. What we're doing is we are presenting at Democratic Central Committees. We have Yolo County, Lake County, San Benito County, San Diego. We're on the agenda for Santa Clara, Santa Cruz, and right now the Ventura. I have a colleague speaking at Ventura. So what we're wanting for you to do is to endorse the resolution that's gone around. We shorten it so that it stays consistent with the state party. 2 weeks ago at the executive committee, the Latino caucus endorsed it unanimously. So what we're looking here is to get your help and support through your county committee to endorse the resolution. And then in February at the convention, we're going to try and get the state party to endorse. So that's it in a nutshell. Oh, and if you do choose to endorse, it would be great if you have friends that you can influence with the other Democratic county committees to, let them know that it's good to support.
Okay.
Let's put the questions here.
Yeah, so thank you for that presentation. This is now an opportunity for discussion. Carl?
Yeah, I'm just asking, can you give an idea of what the cost of dialysis is?
Okay, it's about $225 is what the cost is for Medi-Cal reimbursement. It's
For each event, is that it?
For each time they go in each session, it's about $225 is what Medi-Cal reimburses. And what's happening is like the for-profit, like the DaVita person is, will charge 3-4 times that amount.
Okay, Karen?
So it's not possible for us in this short amount of time to become experts on this resolution, right? We've just been given fresh materials right now that we haven't had a chance to read. That's why we rely on our issues committee that has looked at this and has deemed that this is, they do have an opinion, and they have asked all these questions. So a welcome conversation with Terry later if you want to know more about this. But the Issues Committee and Alan's done some research too, and they have a recommendation on what we should do on this.
Bill, actually, the Issues Committee at the time of the executive board can actually come to a conclusion on this issue. Independently, I have, and I am supportive of it. Dialysis is a basic need for people, just as water is a basic need for people. And essentially, in both situations, Cal Am and this, companies, private companies, for profit are saying money or your life. And when there's only 2 companies, there is no real market in effect. You don't have much of a choice to bargain down for a better price. And so that's a kind of situation where somebody needs to step in and say, what is a fair price?
Yeah, we met, in fact, for the issues committee on this one. We went over this. My father's bills for, this is quite expensive as it is, so I'm down for it completely, so yes.
I am as well.
So this is basically supported by all the unions. It passed the Senate with the state Senate, a bill very much like this, with I think 2 Democrats dissenting and of course the Republican caucus dissenting. So it kind of gives you a sense of where people are at. And as far as I can tell, the purpose is both patient care to make sure that dialysis is done in a way to make sure that it's safe and also accessible and not overcharging people. So I would support it, but yes, David?
I was just wondering, did the Issues Committee's investigation and research on this, the counter arguments did not
There's almost no counter arguments to it. They just, it's an oligopoly, they're just trying to like screw you over basically, yeah.
Okay, well, is there a motion to endorse this or not? Okay, so, all right, Bob Cole and Chris seconded it. Is there any other discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye. All those who vote, say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, 0. Any abstentions? 1 abstention. All right, thank you. And then the next issue, would you like to introduce that?
Sure. An issue coming back to the Monterey Peninsula now is whether there should be an attempt to, first have a feasibility study done for the takeover of the water system that Callahan operates. And George is here from Public Water now. And I think that George wants to present.
I'll do this in a minute.
2 minutes.
1 minute.
All right, 1 minute.
We've done this before, we've been through this rodeo, we know we're going to face an onslaught of a lot of money from Callahan in opposition. What we're not going to face is the same political hurricane that we had last time. The mayors are not going to oppose us, and well, we just know there are a lot of people that are supporting us different this time. We want to remove local control of water and make it local control. We want to reduce the export of money from our community. This is a water issue. There's a huge amount of money exported from our community every year from Callahan. Most of that money can come back. All we need to do is make it public. So we have a petition going around. There's some here tonight, but anyway, we need petition. It's just like the dialysis. You need a bunch of signatures in order to get on the ballot. In order to get on the ballot, we're in a time frame now. We will collect signatures through March. Then we'll go and see what happens, but we're planning on an election in November, and this election is going to coincide with all the mayors that are running in the local scene. This is only on the Monterey Peninsula, so those of you who are outside the peninsula, if you're in Marina, it doesn't count. If you're in Salinas, it doesn't count. But everybody else on the peninsula can sign the petition and can vote. You need to be a voter. You don't have to be a Callahan customer. So there are a lot of people who just vote, they rent, they don't know where their money, where their water comes from, they don't know who pays the bill. But anyway, this can change the politics, it can change the economics on the peninsula. And we're in the right mode to do this. This community is ready, and I ask for your help. Thank you.
Okay. Lamont and then Anthony.
My question is, okay, are you saying that you're not saying it's only for the peninsula, or you just saying the people in Marina and Salinas can't vote, but it's still gonna, help us too? I mean,
Well,
the people who's living, wherever they're living on the peninsula, using Callahan.
Callahan is a cancer in Marina. They're in a cancer in the fora environment, the political environment in fora. So there are places outside of this community that can benefit if Callahan goes away. We want Callahan to go away.
Okay,
But Marina cannot vote.
Yeah, I know about the votes. I'm asking you if they would still be able to benefit, even if they can't vote.
The Marina slant wells are actually digging in as it is, so brackish water is beginning to actually intrude. So it's actually something that's going to impact Marina. So if you, the benefit is like, do you want seawater or do you want like fresh water?
What about Salinas?
Salinas is outside of that district.
But the seawater intrusion issue is an issue that's creeping towards
Okay,
Salinas.
George, I gotta ask you, and folks, we appreciate having you
I'm not getting my
here,
hands.
but we need to keep the conversation here. I think Anthony's next.
Okay,
But
so,
wait a minute, I didn't get my answer. What I'm trying to say is Callahan water all over the peninsula.
No.
No.
Only-
George, Callahan serves Carmel, PG, Monterey, Seaside.
Yes, it does.
It's California.
California water,
Alabama.
exactly.
Well, so what's the difference? That means that the people.
It's a different company because of a
So
different
if
name.
you live, so Marina is served by Marina Coast Water District, but I think the point that Ryan was making is that Cal-Am does impact Marina Coast Water District, and so if you live in Marina, you are impacted by them because of legal issues they've had with each other, because of the attempt to build a slant well, etc. All right, Anthony.
so I worked with the Romano Institute for the Community Choice Energy Project, so that was the control in terms of the local governing bodies they had, they control that energy part. So is that what you're trying to do, have the local?
Local control instead of corporate control.
Okay, but what I'm asking is, who's going to control, is it local government agencies?
It'll
City councils?
be a local water district that exists today that's
What's the name?
So it's a
monitors
local water
monitors
district,
this
it's not a
area.
joint powers agreement between the cities?
What's the name?
No, it's a separate district that's been formed since 1978. They've been monitoring water, and they have an elected board. We want an elected board. It's the board that's in place that can do this. We're gonna ask them to do it.
I can't remember, I think Chris's name.
Well, I just wanted to say that I belong to the Carmel Valley Association. We just endorsed the measure 2 nights ago. And we did it on the basis that we have a natural resources committee that has a water-focused committee. They're all professionals in terms of knowledge about water. They've studied it very, very clearly. And we were convinced beyond doubt of this. But the even more important thing that I think is important for us as Democrats is that there's a fundamental sort of value that underlies this, and that is whether or not a fundamental resource like water should be in the profit domain. That is something that's essential to life, that really belongs to the people in that sense. And that's much more consistent we're supporting than corporate-run for-profit water companies.
Thank you, Karen.
So again, I want to bring up that we're going to hear more from the chair of the Issues Committee. And if you're interested in going in-depth in those things, join the committee because we really can't get up to speed on all the fine points of it. And thanks for the 1.5 minute speech. But really what we're doing is we're trusting a process. We're trusting that the Issues Committee has looked into this. How does it align with our values, the party platform, and so forth. So I just want to say, rather than getting informed on every detail of public water now, we're looking to the Issues Committee.
Oh, you know, one more little question. It's little.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, what happens here, we have people representing every district and city and everything at the table, right? As Democrats. So what we do, and we pass resolutions or whatever, that only is gonna help one side of the county or one city in the county, why can't it be something that is gonna help the county itself, no matter whose water it is still gonna be something that is taking a lot of money out of people's pockets?
Right.
Can I answer that in like 10 seconds?
No. I think Chris offered an explanation, a philosophical one, that public water is a public value, that is something that does benefit all. And I think Brian also did offer a kind of practical benefit. But
The water district is only a small section of the county, it's not the entire county, so there's different water sections that actually control it. George, do you have that map of what it actually comprises?
No. The Issues Committee.
So, this was an issue that seized the committee's interest, and it was unanimous among all the members that responded on this issue that we should endorse this resolution. Personally, my philosophy is very much as Chris pointed out. I am opposed, well, it's a public resource, it should be publicly controlled. I am opposed to the idea that a private monopoly would have control over it and be
I'm opposed to
unaccountable to us.
I'm opposed to all the water having control.
Right. Okay, so, yes, Anthony.
I just want to say that if, I just feel like if the chair says that you shouldn't comment on something, you shouldn't comment on it because they're the ones who are this project, so you don't need all kinds of back that up, I don't know. It's just better if the chair says not to comment on something, respect that. So we can move on. Respect the board and
Thank you. Okay, are there any other comments or questions for the committee? Not for George, as much as I love George, but it's not on the committee. We should direct our questions to the chair of the Issues Committee. Do you have any questions or comments?
I do have one.
Yes, Levon, go ahead.
Okay, who's the chair?
Of the Issues Committee, it's Bill.
Bill, okay, Bill.
Yes.
Okay, my question is, and I hope you can answer it. We're talking about Callahan water. We're talking about Marina Cove water. What about California water? We have the same problem with California water as we are with the other water.
No, I'm not familiar with California water because I'm not from Salinas, which is, in California water supplies Salinas, is my understanding.
It's part of Salinas.
My understanding, Cal-Am costs, it's the most expensive water in the country. It's far more expensive than California water.
No, it's not.
We can lift it up on the Issues Committee agenda later.
But as far as philosophically, if that is a private company, I would also support the takeover of that by a public utility. So I'm a former mayor of a small town in Washington State. We had our own public utilities. We had our own sewage collection. We had our own water system. It was easy. And there are people in this community that can do it. I know them from working with them in other communities.
So I'm not sure, Levon, if you're asking, could we also look at
Yes, I am.
public takeover of California American water? Is that what you're wondering?
Yes, I was originally in this county. The water bills in California, in Salinas, yeah, California too, is ridiculous. They can raise the rates when they get ready to raise the rates. And they're always saying that we need to do this because we need more water. And the water is really for all these big projects that people are bringing in and they're also bringing in people for the jobs, which means that the people are having to pay for the projects and all the rate payers are stuck with the bill.
Levon, we're not initiating action here, though. What you're doing is bringing forth, as a citizen, a problem in your community that is
It's
great.
not in my
So
community.
you might want to initiate some action. What we're doing here is supporting an effort. The
I
Demo-
understand that.
So that,
I
there might be
understand
people to
that.
join you in that
I
effort.
understand that. I'm talking about action for the whole county. I'm not just talking about a community. That's our problem. We're always talking about this part and the other part is left out. That's all I'm talking about.
Vince and then Bob.
I think I'll be voting in favor of the petition and the fact that Cal-Am be taken over publicly, and I think it's probably going to be the best thing we can do to help other communities do the same thing. If we're successful here, that is going to send a signal, just like with the Power Initiative, that public takeovers are possible and that they make sense. And I think that our best opportunity we have right now is this one. And if we succeed, that will have an effect up and down the county and the state, frankly. So I would just support it for that reason. It does not just benefit that group or that community.
If the order is in motion, I move that we support the request to support public water now.
Okay, is there a second? Chris Walton, second. Bob Cole made the motion. I did see David's hand up and I saw Carl's hand up.
I was going to motion.
Okay. And Carl, did you have anything to say under discussion? Okay. So there is a motion on the table to support Public Waters Now. Public Water Now's action. Is there any other discussion? All right, all those in, I'm just going to go with a vote. Yeah, David.
Just one last comment. To the Issues Committee, and I think these ad hoc requests too, look at any possible support that the Central Committee or clubs could lend towards the either collection of signatures, or is there anything real that this endorsement can do for us?
There are two things listed on the bottom of the page. We could add to that. Page 12, is it, no, 9?
10.
Page 10? There are two things listed, I don't know what more they might.
It does mention signature gathering.
And the Public Water Now website has ways to connect with the Public Water Now organization for signature gathering.
So if we do end up approving this, probably I'll work with Aaron to send out a message, an email blast, and, putting people in contact with the organization and the signature gathering. Robert?
There is a meeting coming up in Public Water Now, and George could tell us when the next one is.
Actually, let's. There's a motion on the table, so I think we should take care of that first.
Your motion.
Any other discussion on the motion? All right, then all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, any abstentions? One abstention. All right, so let the record note it was unanimous with one abstention. All right, and quickly, George, would you like to announce?
I don't know which one Bob's talking about. Friday morning, the mayor of Carmel is holding a rally of sorts with Cal-Am president, but we're going to show up. And the media is invited and so on. It's going to be a spectacle and it's going to be fun.
Friday morning where?
Friday morning at the Carmel Post Office, 9:30 to 11:30.
Steve Dallas?
Steve
I
Dallas.
want to be there. I'm a big fan of that guy.
He's a big fan of us. So it's all playing out very well.
All right, so this item is done, but Robert, quickly.
Well, I want to add to that then. Everybody who has a Public Water Now t-shirt should wear it, even if it's full.
Okay, more about that after the meeting.
Can we actually, how do people add things to Issues Committee if they actually want to look stuff up? Like if you want to make a run on Salinas, we just take it over there and you just apply saying, can we take like a look at what's going on in Salinas?
There would be something in writing. A group or organization that wants us to take a look at something should submit something. They don't do they're not the, put something in writing. Email it to us in writing. They'll go for it.
Okay, and then the last action item is I would entertain a motion to authorize the chair, Alan Hoffa, and the treasurer, Jen Rigney, to act on behalf of this committee with our banking.
Financial officer.
As our financial officer.
Second.
All right, so Bill moved, Bill Boozman, and Tyler Williamson seconded. All right, any other discussion on that?
No.
All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Any abstention? One abstention. Thank you. Calendar.
It's going around right now. Just add annual events that your club has, and we are going to, that'll be a regular part of your agenda. It'll be online, and we'll have a paper form here in the center and in the agenda. The end.
Okay, so if you know something your club's planning to do, we'd like to know in advance so that we can do a better job of promoting it. Okay. Welcome, David. David, we kind of passed over the annual dinner report. Would you like to share anything with us?
I just want to personally thank all the people that was involved with putting that on. It was a lot of work. And also want to thank all our sponsors that some of them are in the room right now. So appreciate all that help. And I'm glad we got through the dinner, and hopefully that's the start of some more development events. And actually, I'm probably gonna have a meeting of the development committee and everyone's welcome to come, probably in this next month of December, so we can plan out maybe 3 or 4 events for the year.
Okay,
That's all I have to say. Thank you.
And that's actually a good segue to Carrie.
I just want to say publicly that SAU would like to sponsor in the future any of your events that you have.
Excellent.
Build better, do a better job in the Central Coast, and I promise you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
We want to partner with you.
Very welcome.
Thank you, Terry.
Okay, so we kind of went over the finance and Jen's not here. We just heard from development. Oh, I guess I must have jumped ahead. Okay, club. So I know there was some concern about club renewal, and our reading of the bylaws, which has to do with club renewal, I'll just read it. It says, charters must be renewed annually on the anniversary date of the original award. Problem is, we really don't know when all of the different clubs were originally chartered.
We're not doing that.
And from a practical standpoint, we actually end up doing the same work twice a year. We do it in December, we do it again in May or June, because the state party requires us to submit your club rosters at that time. So if you want to submit your roster now for your club, that's fine, but what we would like to propose is that we make our practice, that we'll have a window of time in the spring, just before it's due for the state, so that we can do it once a year rather than having to duplicate our work. And it is probably better that we go back and modify the bylaws to clarify that, but as a practice, that's what the e-board is suggesting. And at this time, if there are any club reports.
Well, there's one hand up.
Okay.
So, one reason why the process may have been shifted to doing it out of cycle with the state charter is that in the event of a primary in June, that the clubs would need to, shift their focus from election to club businesses, and that would, deplete or maybe diminish their effectiveness. So I'm just offering that may be consideration for that, and if, maybe we should.
So earlier spring, not later spring, if we're gonna do it at all.
Yeah, well, you have to do it for the state, and that's a hard deadline, right? And that's July 1, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know, maybe a future discussion topic for the clubs to see what would be the least disruptive, more effective time, because we're going to be gearing up for, our members.
So may I suggest that it might be a good excuse for you to get 20 people in the room to sign that thing when you're trying to get them to work on a campaign. So perhaps it could be dual purpose and it might help. So we'll come with a timeline in January, at January's meeting, and there'll be some flexibility there. It'll come with the board's recommendation. But we were thinking like March or April, so that we could tidy it up in May and then have it by the deadline to CDP. But I hear what you're saying.
The presidential primary, isn't it moved to March now?
Okay, we're not going there right now. Okay, club updates, Women's Club of Monterey County.
I'll just mention the one thing for next month, January 18th. We are starting off the year with a panel with Delaney Easton, who's running for governor, and Maya Cohen, who's running for the Board of Equalization, and our own Regina, who's running for District 2. The working title right now is Our Time Has Come.
Look forward to that. Marina Club, do you guys have any update?
Just that the next club meeting will be Wednesday, January 10th at the Marina Library.
Wednesday, January.
The time, the e-board will probably be ahead of the scheduled meeting, so the e-board will probably be 5:30, and scheduled meeting would be 6:30.
Okay, thank you. DCMP.
We passed out a flyer for our holiday party, which is December 10th, 1 to 4 p.m. It's free. So it's out there with a map to Gail Lehman's house and the instructions on how to get there. So book the bill, come and say hello.
Thank you.
And there's written instruction because there are no addresses in Carmel by the sea, so you have to count houses. And there's a picture of her house inside. Along with a letter from the president, that would be me. So you can identify, sort of hold it up.
Nice.
There you go.
Thank you, and thank you for organizing today's speaker. Let's see. Salinas Club. You guys have anything going on?
First of all, I wanted to let you know that Luis is not here because he's in Sacramento. He has meetings for 4 days in a row. And Lucas Sanchez has her mother real ill in Fresno, so that's why she's not here. But we were planning, I hope her mother's well, to have a Christmas party on the 14th, and she's the one who knows the place. You know, she's away, but we're planning a Christmas gathering, and also a meeting at the same time, on the 14th of December. I can let you know, or she can let you know by email where and when you want to go.
Right, and progressives, let's see, we met, what did we do?
We supported Public Water Now.
Yeah, we supported Public Water Now, we did endorse Public Water Now, and
Send a group of people to Working America again, in the effort to support Democrats wanting to work more closely with labor. We sent a second group of people to Modesto to work with Working America, AFL-CIO's arm there, doing deep canvassing. It was really great. Encourage other people. We had a presentation at the last meeting. Would love to talk to people about that who want to know they're doing things there that we could do in our community to find issues of importance to people that will help us to have successful campaigns to win District 2, Board of Supervisors next year, and other important races.
Canadians.
Yeah. We actually are going to announce that we're supporting Public Water Now based off of all the votes that came in. The job fair is going off in February. That's going to be over here in Seaside, actually. That's going to be pretty big. And there's a meeting tomorrow at XL Public House in the Salinas side. That's at 6:30. And we're in the basement, so it's totally crazy, but it's a lot of fun. And we also help promote from the state itself the Cal Cannabis Cultivation Licensing Training App Session. And that's at the Steinbeck Center, but unfortunately that's all filled up, so we did our job. It's done. And none of you can go to that, but there will be a video, and it's going to go out, so you get to see what it's like to be a drug dealer. And, yeah, we're good. Thursday.
I'm not sure that's good, but...
Anybody can do it.
Yes, everybody can.
And we're almost done here, folks. We got 7 minutes before 8:30. I'll just say that on behalf of the Young Democrats Club, they're continuing to meet. They don't quite have 20 people yet to charter. If you know somebody who would be interested in the Young Democrats Club, please let them know that they are meeting on the 3rd Saturday of every month here at noon. And so I think they're planning to meet again on December 18th.
Can I say something on behalf
Yeah.
of the Young Dems? The Tara, I know, did it, but they, along with one of the invisible groups, are starting to do voter reg.
Right.
So they were at the farmer's market today, and so if anybody wants to help out on Tuesdays, contact Natara. I'm sure they'd be happy to have you, even if you're not a Young Dem, or you can join the invisible group, because they definitely aren't young. Yes, I mean, they're like my age. So there's both sides represented. I really appreciate the Young Dems taking that on. That's great. It's a great.
Okay, and going on to Robert, is this club report?
Well, it's about, I was going to recommend that the current leaders of the group organizing Young Dems be invited to attend these meetings. Anyway.
They are. Okay, thank you for that. So, under subcommittee reports, I think we've handled a lot of this, but is there any update on campaigning? Tyler?
Were we going to do Oh.
Yeah, we'll do yours now too.
Oh,
E-board's next.
Okay, well, I'm gonna just confess that I was pretty busy doing some other things before the holidays and the retreat and so on, so I did not call a meeting of the campaign. But I wanna make a date right now to talk with Vince about some of the financial things, and it'll be really critical to have some information at our next meeting, especially if we're gonna talk about the budget and, you know, where the priorities are gonna be. You know, we're looking, we want to do the mailers, but, you know, if that doesn't make sense, then, you know, that's a conversation to be had.
Say what your priorities are, and then we'll look at the finances and we'll go back and forth.
Well, I can't say it right now because I'm just one
No.
person.
No, but when you meet.
Yes.
We would
Oh, okay,
like the
yes.
campaign committee to
Cast a
meet.
vision.
Yes.
And we would like the campaign committee to let all of us know what you think is most important to getting Democrats elected. And then we can debate where we put our money.
And I'm wondering, Anthony, if you might want to join our committee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, e-board. So we have a number of wonderful e-board reps, and I'd like to give them a chance to report on the recent e-board meeting.
Okay, I know there's, I have a lot of stuff to give you. I'm sorry that I just didn't have time to write a shorter report on the e-board meeting a couple of weeks ago. But I got it all on one page, and so I'm going to pass it out in both directions here. And
thank you.
Yeah, I hope they're enough to go around. I'm not sure. Now, this is of course a summary. If anybody wants to get into the tall grass about how things work in
Now, this is a state executive board that runs the party at the executive level.
yeah. And so I brought a thick packet of what was going on with the standing committees and the various issues that were brought up. And in addition to that, I have a couple of reports from the BNC and an agenda. And I'll just pass this around for anybody who really wants to dig into it like that. And, you know, most of what you would find in here, you can find on the website as well. But I'm happy for anybody to look at it tonight if you're interested.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see. Yeah. And in addition to that, I have a couple of things that I think you all will be very interested in. You know, I'm sure you all know about Ben Jealous. He's one of our local heroes. He's the youngest ever president of the NAACP, and he is going to be in Monterey, well, Carmel Heights actually, but giving a program, a reception that is a fundraiser. And of course, he would love to get better acquainted with the Democrats here. But what he's running for right now is the governorship in Maryland. But, you know, who knows, one of these days maybe it'll be in California. We hope so. But anyway, so I'll pass this also. December the 2nd.
What's the cost again?
You'll see.
Okay, that's on the flyer. It's on the flyer. And the other thing that I'm passing out, we have a speaker coming in for the Monterey Institute on December 4th. She's the Costa Rican ambassador to the United Nations. And she has just passed through the United States a treaty to prohibit nuclear weapons. It's the first time this kind the reading and reading in July. She got 122 signatures on it. And she's one of my former students. And dear friends, and she's wonderful.
Thank
so
you.
I really hope that you can take this in at the Monterey Institute, Irvine, and
Thank you,
Thank you, Jan. And Tyler, did you have anything you wanted to add to your experience or Dominic at eBoards?
So we have two executive board reps, 8030 and 2829.
what did I do? Here we go.
So a couple things followed up on the resolution I passed with Safe Ag Safe Schools in summer. We submitted a language proposal to the environmental platform for discussion in February at the big convention. It turns out we didn't have a definition for environmental justice within the CDP platform. And so we submitted language. I worked with Lucia Calderon from Safe Ag Safe Schools, R.L. Miller, the chair of the Environmental Caucus, chimed in, and it was also sent out to other delegates. So we ended up submitting a paragraph. It's not perfect, but it's a start. It's just basic language defining what it is, or what environmental justice is. Mentions things like fracking, pesticides, lead, because those are all three things that affect various regions of California. Other things going on, you might have heard about a little weird police incident. There was a little quick protest that happened, still kind of stemming from the last big convention over the chair thing, so cops were called. Yeah, I don't think it was that big, but it's always interesting when cops are called. The Senate race.
I want to hear more about that later.
Senate race is heating up because Dianne Feinstein made an appearance. She exists, so she actually showed up at the e-board meeting.
All right.
Hey, first time in a while she's been there. So even if you like her, I'm just saying, first time in a while she's been there. Also helped out Melody Masanayi. She's within 8030, but she's from Morgan Hill. There was a resolution passed at the last e-board asking for birthright citizenship for American Samoa. One problem, a lot of American Samoans don't want it because it affects their sovereign territory. So she went there along with a few American Samoans and presented. I presented on their behalf at the Chicano Latino Caucus. Lucia Calderon was supposed to go present at the Environmental Caucus and the Chicano Latino Caucus as well, about adding to activist platforms, so to speak. A lot of activists are at these meetings, and they all have issues that they care very deeply about. One of the things that our area has been very good on is environmental issues. Other areas are still talking about banning fracking. Well, our area, our Tri-County area, has done it. Other areas, Central Valley's really good on talking about pesticide reform. Bay Area and LA, they don't really talk about as much. So what we're trying to do is encourage other activists that, hey, this needs to be on your bullet point, so to speak. Don't just talk about healthcare, but we need to talk about ways people can be prevented from even needing that healthcare. And one way we can do it is through pesticide reform. So we spoke through a couple of caucuses about just saying, hey, can you make sure when you speak to electeds, when you speak to people in your districts, that pesticide reform is a topic you want to speak about. If you're interested, Progressive Caucus met in conjunction with the Arab American Caucus. It's been really good, the cooperation that's going on between those two groups. There's a lot of common issues going on, so they met together, which is great because it's hard to attend all the caucuses. If you want to see videos of it, I have it on my Facebook page, 8030 Delegates on Facebook. You can catch that, or you can catch the Chicano Latino Caucus. One thing that might be of interest, they had a quick debate between Dave Jones and Xavier Becerra. So that took place at the Chicano Latino Caucus. It was about a half hour long, maybe 20 minutes to a half hour. So it was a good debate. They're both great candidates. And they took a poll, the Chicano Latino Caucus. They came out in favor of Villaraigosa, with Elaine Easton a close second. So I think that was about it.
My question?
Yes.
I have a question.
Okay, quick question.
What about the African American Caucus? What's happening with that?
I did not actually attend that
They're
one.
not you said that you all joined together, two of the caucuses, they were not.
The Progressive Caucus and the Arab American Caucus, they chose to meet together. It's up to the caucuses to work in terms of meeting together.
Yeah, and it is always a problem, like a lot of the caucuses end up scheduled at the same time, so you can't go to all of them, which is unfortunate. All right, Tyler?
Thank you, Dominic.
Thank you.
So during general session, they passed, so they passed something where candidates have to sign something stating that they've read the party platform. So they're just trying to make sure that people, that if they're getting the endorsement, that they have it. Yeah, so also they voted to increase the threshold to 60% of the vote. So if a candidate was getting an endorsement, if they were an incumbent, they only had to get 50% before, so they increased it to 60%, which is what everybody else has to get, which is the new. So just to make things more fair. I don't know, they covered a lot of it. I went to the LGBT caucus, and I mean, there was a lot of interesting things discussed. There's HB 239 working towards decriminalizing HIV. There's also legislation in the works to assist LGBT seniors. So I just made some connections there, which was awesome. Trying to think. Has anybody heard of the $48 fix?
No.
Okay, so yeah, so we met this awesome guy, Jonathan, who is basically going around the state right now trying to push this campaign for free college in California. And so it's called the $48 fix. In short, it's an additional tax that everybody will pay, but it depends on your current income bracket. So it's a tax on a tax, basically. And so where the $48 comes from is the average person would pay $48. It depends on how much you make, right? So the less you make, you may pay less than that, but they kind of assume it's somewhere around that $48 mark. So anyways, I can send out more information on that. There's a lot of information. I have a packet. If you have any particular interest, let me know. I can get you connected to the guy that we met while we were there. But it's a pretty cool.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, I wanna meet him and let him know that I
Flat
can't
for
pay it.
community or like 4 year?
That's what you pay, this is a tax.
It's your tax.
great marketing.
What does that give you access to as far as free college education? Is that
We'll find out more later.
I think it's just the tuition.
Yeah. I think it's
He's
4 years.
interested in coming up here, that's the cool part.
Yeah, we're gonna invite him out, and I thought it was, I'm not sure if you came up with the idea, I don't wanna keep stealing his thunder, but yeah, having to meet up with young Dems, so.
Great.
That's a great idea, yeah.
Oh, no.
Okay, so thank you for that, and,
Oh, and when's the next one? The next one's in San Diego, so if anybody wants to go, it's in February.
That's the state committee. That's the state committee.
great, thank you.
Oh, David?
Yes, I have one more. I know, I forgot. Yeah, I know. I'll do it quick. I'll do it quick. So I was also at the e-board meeting. I'm on the standing committee for voter services. And the e-board session that happened, actually they were honoring Asian Americans. And so it was great that they were able to do that. They had, during the general session, they had a number of Asian speakers, and then they kind of promoting the Asian experience and all that. So I just thought,
Thank you for
I thought it was a great.
Okay, so we're over time, actually, so I'm gonna suggest we bring the meeting to an end. But I would note that in addition to the DCMP holiday celebration on, I think it's the 10th.
It is the 10th.
We're not going to be meeting as a committee, but we are planning to host, the e-board is planning to host a holiday mixer here on December 20th, if you'd like to join us. And if you have any future agenda items or issues, you can send the issues to Bill, and please CC me. Or if you have other items you would like the Central Committee to take up, please send them to me or Karen or Elena. And everybody have a wonderful holidays season. Dominic?
Thank you.
I did not. So if you are a member of the Progressive Caucus of the state of California, there's going to be an event here on Saturday.
And you don't have to be a member, you can always join, you don't have to be an assembly delegate to join.
Talk to Dominic for more details on that.